Hello, my name is Ryan Verbecki and I'm the Manager of Principal Architects at Vertana. Today we're going to go over a video on result sets and dynamic chart linking. The purpose of this video will be to show you how to use result sets or dynamic chart linking within reports and the use cases associated to them. The integrations we will use in this video are the switch integration, and we'll also use our fiber channel hardware and VMware integration as examples of cross integration correlation. The services report we will use for this example will be the fiber channel utilization report, and we will also do an additional example around building out a report from scratch using result sets. So what are result sets or dynamic chart linking? Result sets are the ability of VirtualWisdom to link the entity results configuration from one chart to another chart or many charts within a report. So what are the benefits of this approach? Provides you the ability to build a more result set driven reporting approach. It also will allow you to easily link related entity set results dynamically across multiple charts. This allows for an improved investigative workflow, allowing consistent view across dynamically updated charts. We are now going to go into a VirtualWisdom demonstration on how to use result sets. Once logged into VirtualWisdom, you'll want to go to the reporting section. From the reporting section, we're going to go ahead and use that utilization report that I mentioned. So I'm going to go ahead and type in util, hit enter here, and down below you'll see that VI fiber channel utilization report. So we'll go ahead and go into this report. And this report goes over application utilization, host utilization, storage utilization. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to go ahead and use the storage utilization section. So we'll give it a second here to load, and then I'm going to scroll down. And under the storage section, so what you're going to see is I have a storage port read utilization chart, and I have a storage port write utilization chart. So in this chart, you're going to see that I have SVC node 2 port 4, node 1 port 4, and I have another SB port 13 over here, and I have a 9759 A4 and A5. And if I look over here in this other report over here, you're going to see I have a 5200 SBB1, which is not listed over here. So these charts independently are showing the top 5 storage ports for read and write utilization. If I want to use a result set, I can take the results of this chart, which has these 5 ports. I can go in and filter this by hitting the select metric or going underneath the configuration right here. I'll start from over here. Underneath here, you can see that there's a couple filters right now. I've excluded a few ports I didn't want to look at. I gave the ability to filter by a storage array. But let's say I want to actually go ahead and filter by a result set. So I can do filter storage ports and add new filter. In this filter, I can do in this list. And if I click add, it will let me pick the storage ports I want, or I can use result sets at the top. So I know I have a result set for storage port read utilization, and I want to see those entities that make up that chart. So if I pick this, I say okay, and then I apply it, what you'll see now is this chart will update, and now all the ports in this chart are going to match the storage ports in this chart. So it allows me to link all the results from other charts to the results of the entities that were shown in this original chart. This allows you to build charts and flows within your charts to make sure you focus on the same devices or entity types that are made up for the entity that you're trying to investigate. So if you look over here, we have port 4, we have port 4, we have node 1 port 4, we have node 1 port 4. We have port 13 on the B32, and we have 9759 A4 and A5, 9759 A4 and A5. So now these two charts match exactly because I said use these entities from this to show me those entities over here and the right utilization. What I'm going to do now is actually show you how to build a new report from scratch, and in that new report, we're going to go ahead and build every chart in it to give you an example walkthrough of how building a new report using result sets works. So once you click on new report, it's going to take you to what I like to call a blank canvas. So from here, you have your first row in your report. You have your first blank chart within your report. For this demonstration, I'm going to go ahead and split this row layout out to do 3 charts wide. I'm going to go ahead and add another 3 charts below it as well. So I'll do add row 3 charts below. And what I'm going to go ahead and start with is a base chart of looking at a trend. We're going to go ahead and look at host. And from host, I'm going to go ahead and look at read utilization, which is going to be a switch fiber channel switch integration metric. So if I do this, it's going to come back, it's going to show me the hosts during this time frame, and it's going to show me the top 10 hosts that I have with the highest read utilization. Let's say I want to use result sets to understand the switch ports related to these hosts. So I can go in and do an add in the chart next to it, and I'm going to go ahead and do a trend chart as well. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and say, let's look at switch ports. And let's say I want to see the total errors. So we'll go ahead and do total, and we'll look at port errors total. So let's say I want to look at these hosts, the switch ports related to them, and I want to report the top 10 hosts from a port errors perspective. If I go ahead and say OK, it's going to show me the top 10 because I haven't related it to a result set filter. So it doesn't realize that I'm wanting to see the switch ports related to these hosts. If I go back in, I'm going to go ahead and add a filter, and I'm going to want to use a calculate filter because I want it to calculate and show me only those switch ports related to those hosts, not every switch port related to those hosts. So we'll do the calculate metric for switch port. I'm going to go ahead and change it to host because I need to look at the host because my result set that I want to use is based on host. So it's going to say, show me the switch ports related to host. I'm going to go ahead and say, use this result set. If I hadn't switched this to host and I had left it at switch port and I do an add, you won't see the result set because it's looking for a result set for something related to switch port. And the only results I have available in this report currently is for host. So I'll switch that back to host. And I'm going to go ahead and say use that result set. And now when I say OK, it's going to go out and it's going to find me only the ones related to it. So what you can see is I only see 6 ports. Well, some of these are MPIB devices. That's why we have a little asterisk here. So I might have multiple devices of these hosts coming over the same port, which is why I don't have 10 ports showing because some of them are on shared ports. You have prod A, prod B switches, and I have some 9148s. To kind of prove out that these are related, I'm going to go ahead and look for this auto ESX host here. Let's go ahead and see if I can find that one. Or one of these hosts in here and see if they're related to one of these switch ports. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my other tab, and I'm going to look for this 9148 QE1, and we'll do 116. So if I come into my inventory and I do 1:16, what you'll end up seeing is switch ports come up. I'm going to go ahead and click on switch ports, and you can see I have the 9148 116. So let's go back and double check which one that was. That was QE1 116. So it was QE1 116, and if you look, the attached port is VI Auto ESX1 port 1. If I go back over here, VI Auto ESX1 is related to the host. So this is just a little bit of a deeper dive there to kind of prove out that this is how I'm able to figure out and use the result sets from this host-based chart to get an accurate description of the particular switch ports that are related to those using the metric of port errors total. That's doing cross correlation using metric sets and all related to one integration, which is our switch integration. Let's say I want to use result sets across integration. So this is my switch integration on host read utilization. So in this chart over here, I'm going to go ahead and do a trend chart. I'm going to go ahead and do host utilization. So I'll grab host out of here, and I'm going to relate this time looking at read exchange completion times. This is a fiber channel SCSI metric, which is related to our hardware integration or our hardware probes. I'm going to go ahead and pick read completion time because over here I had read utilization back here in the background. And then I'm going to go ahead and do a result set filter for that. And I'm going to go and say calculate for the hosts related to that particular read utilization result set. It'll come back and give me those 8 hosts that are here. But what you're going to notice is I don't see UCS Fab and I don't see the Auto ESX1. Well, this is my environment and I'm familiar with this environment. I know the reason why I'm not seeing those is because those hosts are not connected to ports that have hardware probes. And to prove that out, I'll go ahead and show you. So if I go ahead and I do a trend in this chart and I go ahead and say, show me host, and I say show me read exchange completion time, let me get that right here, and let's filter to those two specific hosts, the auto ESX and the fab. So let me go in here and I'm going to do filter hosts, and I'm going to filter to those two specific hosts. So we have that auto ESX1 right here and the UCS fab. So now I have those two selected. I'm going to say okay, so it's going to look for those read completion times here, and what you're going to see is this is going to come back and say no data found. Over here, it didn't plot it because I had other stuff to plot, which is why we have it. Those 8 had hardware-based metrics for read completion times, but when I try to individually do those two, which I don't have any, I get the no data. And the reason I get that no data is because there's nothing for me to plot, because those are not on hardware probe ports that we're looking at, so I don't have response times for those. So let's take this a step further. Let's say I want to see the HBA ports and the read utilization related to these hosts. So I'm going to go ahead and do add. I'm going to do a trend. I'm going to do HBA port. We're going to do read utilization. But what I'm going to do is go ahead and tell it to look at the stuff only related to the hosts that are in that very first chart. So I'm going to pick the result set from that very first chart, which was the top host read utilization, which was right here. If I say OK, and I say OK, what you're going to get is the HBA ports and the top read utilization related to those HBA ports. Let's take this one notch up, and let's go ahead and decide, I know these are ESX hosts because this is my environment. Maybe I want to see an ESX host-based metric from our VMware integration related to maybe CPU utilization on the ESX host related to these HBA ports. So what I can do is I can go in and do a new trend. I can go ahead and say, show me the ESX host. And we'll go ahead and do CPU utilization. And then I'm going to say, filter the ESX host related to, we're going to go ahead and do, let me scoot this over so you can see it, the related to the result sets from this HBA port. So I'm going to say related to, we'll go to the HBA port, hit add, and it's going to be the result sets from the top 10 HBA ports by read utilization, which was this chart right here, and I'm going to say OK. So what it's going to do is now go out and look at the hosts that we have that are ESX hosts that are related to these HBA ports. And if you look, we have 12, 14, 16, and 18 ESX hosts. If I look over here, I have 12, 14, 16, 18, 12, 14, 16, and 18, because that's the 8 HBAs that are related to ESX hosts. And these two are currently unrelated. This is one of the uplinks on an HBA port, and this is a non-related ESX host. So the only ports that were related to them were those 4 particular ESX hosts, which were 12, 14, 16, and 18. So I was able to use a result set from a host to show me the HBAs related to those hosts, and then I was able to use the result set from the HBAs to do a result set filter to the ESX host by CPU utilization. So that's another way that you can use result sets to tier them to get to different views or data points across the integrations and metric sets. So in summary, in this demo, we provided an understanding of result sets and what they are. We reviewed how you modify existing reports to use result sets. And additionally, we built a new report and showed the ability to link result sets across entities and different integration metric sets. Additional things that you need to consider when using result sets is you can link multiple charts to the same results data set. Best practice is to limit the number of result sets that you're linking that build off a previously selected result sets chart. This will help to avoid long report load times waiting for other charts to populate first. This concludes our video on result sets and dynamic chart filtering. I want to thank you for watching.